Good deal. Okay. Well, thanks again, everyone, so much for joining me today. Today is really one of my favorite sessions to do all throughout the year, right? Like this is the time of the year when we're really re-zeroing in, on our businesses, pulling back a bit and looking at 10,000 feet and saying what's working, what didn't work, what are we going to do different in 2024 to hopefully get a better result. I know many of us have had really great 2023s, but we want even more for this year. So that's really the purpose of today's session, is to and so it's an active workshop. We're gonna really piece together your plan to really crush it in 2024, and as the name would suggest, outsmart your competition this year. So let's dive in. So let's go over quickly the plan for the session. As I said, this is a workshop, right? And I want you to leave here with a lot of good action items and a lot of clarity. So we're going to set clear goals and targets for the year. We're going to realign maybe on some of our key performance indicators and tracking to achieve the outcomes that we're looking for. We're going to actually map out your plan for accomplishing those, including budget, channels, and overlaying some of the important trends and where you should be allocating your time, money, energy, focus, as it relates to marketing this year. And all of this in concert, the idea is to really set you up for massive success in the 2024 and beyond. So guys, as I start off every session, just have a really simple ask for you. My team and I, we've put a lot into preparing for this session and have a lot of really great information to share with you. And in return, we just have a very simple ask, and that's that you really zero in and focus with us today. We're going to spend about the next hour together. And I just ask that you turn off the cell phones. You see mine, I'm going to put it away, face down, click out of Facebook. And I just ask that you zero in, because the more that you dial in and focus in this session, you will receive directly in proportion that outcome, right? So the more that you can lock in, the more you'll get out of the session. And that's all I want for you, is to get as much as possible out of the session. So many of you have join me every month. Some of you are maybe new. So for those that don't know me, hello and welcome. My name is Alex Van Leeuwen, and I'm the founder of HVAC Marketers. And I've had the distinct privilege of working with some of the top HVAC companies across the country in order to get their internet marketing dialed in and maximize their profits and increase lead flow online. That's kind of the typical, spiel, if you will. But as it relates to you, what you really need to know is this is what we do. This is what I do. This is what HVAC Marketers is all about. We're a full service marketing agency that services the HVAC industry. And, if as you're going through this session, we're going to do a lot of planning, a lot of, good action. If you're thinking, maybe I want to have Alex and his team, come in and help me with some of this, we're absolutely open to that conversation. There'll be links where you can schedule time with us. I want you to know that that's not the distinct purpose of today's session. In fact, today's session is really all about, planning for the year, but in full transparency, I want you to know kind of, hey, why should I trust these guys? Where are they coming from? That's our background, right? So what I did is I just shared a link that'll go directly to our schedule a time to meet with me directly, and we can look at your specific business. But now that we got that out of the way, we will carry on. So I always want to begin these sessions with why, right? So why are we here? So let me just talk a little bit about why we're doing this session and being, so deliberate about setting up a 2024 plan. So really now more than ever, there's so many options where you can spend your marketing dollars. And oftentimes, and I think increasingly, it's becoming more unclear where to spend that money and your focus. So, you're likely, if you're on this session, investing heavily in your marketing, spending thousands of dollars on website, Google ads, SEO, direct mail, billboard, radio, print media, you name it. There's all sorts of different ways that you're investing, right now in your marketing. Uh, so no doubt it is a major investment. We see at HVAC marketers companies, that are really successful investing anywhere from 5 to 12% of top line revenue back into their marketing for continued growth. So no doubt it's a major investment, but often what we see is that at the end of the day, there's not much to show for it. And that's the problem that we're trying to solve for, right? So I believe if you don't have a clear plan, you can overspend, or, as I put in here, even worse, underspend and underperform. So something to consider, and it really sets us up for a big opportunity. And by that, the opportunities, I want you to leave here with a clear plan with goals, targets, and KPIs to track to. I want you to know how to generate enough leads to hit your targets, keep your trucks running, buy more trucks and add to your team, like have a system and a plan in place to be able to hit those, and also receive a great return on your investment, which, as we mentioned, is sizable. So that's really, in my mind, what we can achieve today, like ending here with a real clear-cut plan to hit our sales goals for 2024. So let's continue on the goal path, right? So first and foremost, we have to know where we're going in order to know how to get there. So here's a quote that I love and many are familiar with. If you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. So planning activities are really what's required to know where you're going and be able to hit that. So it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day of miscellaneous fires and making decisions about what kind of GPS we're going to put in the trucks, or what, all these small decisions. But at the end of the day, while important, those kinds of decisions and activities aren't what really moves the needle forward. In fact, if you're not really clearly set on what your goals are for 2024, in terms of how much revenue you want, in terms of your trucks, your profit margin, so on and so forth, you're really like a ship out at sea with no wind, right? There's no movement. Whereas putting clear goals in place, I find, can really help you create your own wind, right? And it's also important to have your whole team on board with these plans, with these goals. So we want to help you create your own win today. And just to drive this point home, I'll breeze over these stats just quickly, but I do think it serves a point to discuss. So there's an interesting Harvard study that was done in 1979, and they looked at a graduating class there. And of all the members of that graduating class, 84% had no specific goals, 13% had goals but did not have them written down, and only 3% of that Harvard class had clear written goals that they had planned to achieve. So actually put pen to paper and put that together. So the result is pretty staggering. The 13% of the class who had goals were earning on average twice as much as those with no goals. And what's even crazier than that is the 3% who wrote those goals down earned 10 times as much as the other 97% put together. So it really speaks to the importance of being deliberate with goals and writing them down and having a record of them. So we'll barrel on through this. I want to make sure that we get to everything, and I make good on my promise to keep this under an hour. So we're going to kick into the workshop mode here. So I want you to start thinking about, what are your goals for this year, right? So what's your revenue target? And then we want to break that down. So what does that look like in terms of a monthly revenue target? And of course, count for seasonality, but we want to have an idea, how much per month do we need to be hitting to know that we're on track to reach our end of year goal? How many calls is that we're going to require? How many inbound leads, and understanding what your average transaction value is. So just for a quick example, if our goal is to break that $5 million mark this year, that comes out to 416,000 and change monthly that we need to be producing. And then by plugging in your average transaction value, ticket value, I'm putting in here 705. Some of you would say, Alex, mine's way higher. It's 1200 or whatever it is. You need to know that number and plug it in so that we can say, okay, on average, we're going to need 591 uh, per month in order to hit that end of year revenue target. Right. So that is the level of clarity that we want to be driving for today. So to make this easy, I went ahead and created a planner for you to use, and I'm going to put that in the chat here. So you'll see the link at the bottom of the screen, and then you can also click in the chat, and I believe you'll have to create a copy here, but this is a Google Sheet, and it has a lot of tons of good information that we're not even going to go over today. You can review that after today's session, but specifically I want you to go in there and open up this calculator, and I'm going to do the same. Yeah, so I'm going to make a copy. Excellent. And I really want you to come in here, and I'm going to give you 2 minutes. So I set my timer, and I want you to complete this lead generation target planner, right? So here's where you get the opportunity to plug in your annual revenue, and then it's going to spit out some numbers for you. You're going to plug in your average ticket and really be able to back into how many calls, how many service calls rather you need to be getting every month to attain your end of year revenue goal. And then we're going to take it a step further. Once you've put in your numbers for step one, I know people are still getting this pulled up, so just let me know if there's any issues. For step two, we're going to think about, the idea that we're not going to be able to convert 100% of the leads that come through. So this is where it helps to get an idea of how effective are your CSRs at, closing inbound leads and I should say, adjusting our need for lead flow based on that, right? So if we're closing at 70%, that's much different, than closing at 30%. We're gonna need a lot more leads if the closing is lower. So I'm gonna give you 2 minutes to complete this activity, and then we'll pick back up. But again, I want to encourage you. Today is a working session, so I don't want you to say, oh, I'll get to this, I'll bookmark this link. No, I want you to go in there and actually fill out these numbers. There's just a few, 3, I think, and it's really gonna make this more productive. So I'll shut up for the moment, and I'll give you some time to work on that. All right, we got about a little over a minute left to complete the form. Doing great, everyone. Really want to be laser clear on what these numbers are and what we need them to be. All right, as you all wrap up, I'm going to head back to the presentation here. Okay. Good deal. Well, hopefully you were able to complete that. And if not, make sure to complete that today, right? Have a sense for those numbers and let that really drive your planning for the year. So we're going to continue on. and really talk about, now that we have an idea of what we need in terms of lead flow, this is a good opportunity, I find, to really revisit the basics of, really revisit the fundamentals that we need to be getting right with our marketing in order to be most effective. So some of this is somewhat simple, but I find that the HVAC companies that do really well, or really any business for that matter, they, without exception, nail the fundamentals. So it's always worth revisiting. So, from that standpoint, we're going to move into market message and how we're thinking about our market message, right? So to kick things off, I want to think about who is our ideal customer, and really drilling in to figure out, not only, this is, we want high income earners that, have a family of four, like that's important. We want to take it to the next level though. So really outlining pains and frustrations, fears and implications, goals and desires, and dreams and aspirations. So this is something that I want you to get together with your team and really think on, because the better you can know your customer, the better that you can sell to them, the better you can assist them. And there's no such thing as understanding your customer too well. You know, I've yet to run into a company that has that problem, because it's an endless journey that we're on. So I want to give you some ideas, just to kind of get the gears turning, and feel free to snap a picture of this. We'll be sending out a replay of this session as well that you can revisit. But just to kind of speak to the level of detail that I want you to be thinking about when it comes to your ideal customer. So I won't read all of these kind of one by one, but for demographics, we've got the classic homeowner, we got age, we do have income, household income, but more than that, they're not handy. They are easily frustrated. They like gardening, crafts, and arts. They live in the suburbs. They take an interest in their community. Like that's that next level that I think there's big opportunity to really understand that and think about how to connect with your customers at that level by understanding them so deeply. Pains and frustrations. Of course, the HVAC's not working. They're having a plumbing issue, whatever the issue may be. Those are obvious. But let's think about them even deeper. They're too busy to deal with it. They've got a million and one things going on. Just think in your own lives. I know I can certainly relate to this, having just fixed a couple of HVAC issues. They're worried that the situation at the house could be unhealthy for family. Maybe that's something you haven't considered. Maybe it is, but this is the level of detail that really we need to be keying in on, in order to understand the ideal customer. Let's take a look at fears and implications, goals and desires. So they don't want to be ripped off, and they fear they may be overcharged or ripped off. Like that's, most of our customers don't have a pricing sheet memorized and know what to expect, and they just go with what the HVAC tech is telling them. So there really is an opportunity for them to be taken advantage of, and that's something they fear. They don't want to have the house damaged due to faulty workmanship. They don't want to have to wait around for the tech to arrive at home. I just had this recently. Waited 45 minutes late, sitting at a rental property, waiting for the HVAC guy to arrive. That's very frustrating. May cause disaster in the home. Bill will be more than they can afford. So those are some of those items that they really fear. And then goals and desires. So not only getting the air fixed and having the problem behind them, but they have goals and aspirations to achieve more and to grow in all sorts of ways in their lives. Income, nicer home, happier family, growing of the family, peace of mind. I put that at the bottom. I think that one's really, really powerful. So to put this in summary, I have kind of a cheesy quote, but I think it's powerful, right? So if you can see Joe Jones through Joe Jones' eyes, then you can sell what Joe Jones buys. Like I said, it's just as equally cheesy as it is powerful. But really, the better that we can know who we're selling to, the better we can market to them, right? So that's what it all comes down to, and that's what makes up the message component of, or sorry, the market component of really this triumvirate. So now that we've got the market down, we want to move on to the what, and kind of how we craft our messaging given that avatar that we just defined, through the previous exercise. So I want to give you a moment to kind of think about what is your messaging. So why should someone choose to do business with you versus your competition? Today more than ever, there's tons of competition across, the US and Canada, that it's, it's important to understand these differentiators. And then what benefits do you offer that your target customer avatar will resonate with? So why don't I give you, again, this is an active working session, even if it's, I'll give you permission this time if you want to take out your phone and go to the notes section, or, even better, if you got pen and paper to jot this down. I'll give you about a minute and a half to just go ahead and write, let's say, at least one for each of these. And then I'll give you some examples kind of on the next slide. So why don't you go ahead and try to write down at least one for each of these questions. You're doing great. Just commit to it, at least one. So if you've not wrapped up on the first question, maybe take a peek at that second one, see if you can get something, just one item down for both of these. Got about 30 seconds. All right. Hopefully you were able to get down at least one. I'm going to show you some examples of some messaging that works. And I'm going to show you how it ties back to that customer avatar that we were talking about. So I want to point out a few of these specifically. On-time service, right? Very simple, but speaks to the fear that I had recently as a consumer of HVAC services, thinking, I got to drive to my rental property during the workday. How long is this going to take? I ended up sitting there waiting for 45 minutes, right? So using messaging that speaks to those fears, on-time service, straightforward pricing, upfront pricing, satisfaction guaranteed, trying to control for some of those perceived risks that your customers are experiencing, right? Like, are they going to get taken advantage of? Is it going to be confusing pricing? Are they going to get surprised with a big bill at the end? I mean, these are real fears that I'm sure you hear all the time. Trustworthy technicians, trusted technicians, possibly certified technicians, if that's the case, NATE certified, what have you. These are all, this messaging all ties back to those fears and implications from earlier. So that's why it's really important to have an understanding of who your ideal customer is in order to be able to craft messaging that's going to work really well to contact them. So so you can, and by doing this, rather, so by doing this, you can make the case, saying that you offer fast same day service, money saving offers, 24 hours with no overtime charges, Yeah, I'm kind of beating a dead horse at this point, but hopefully you can see that we want to use messaging that ties back specifically to our real customer. One thing I like to try to do is actually give that ideal customer a name, Sandra or John or whoever. Uh, think of that as a person because ultimately it is, and put together that avatar. So that's helped us create our messaging. And now we're going to talk about the media, and really we know who we're selling to, we know the messaging. Now how do we put that messaging in front of them via media? So there's this plays in every facet of your marketing that you could possibly think of, right? But we're going to focus on your marketing hub and making sure that your hub converts. What's the hub, you may ask? Well, that's your website, right? So I believe that no matter how you're advertising, ultimately people are finding their way to your website, whether that is through Google Ads or SEO or social media, digital channels, or if it's traditional, if it's a billboard or a truck wrap or direct mail, excuse me, people are ending up on your website. And that's really the most important place to have your messaging right. So we want to make sure that your hub converts. So is your website set up to convert visitors to callers? Well, we can quickly answer that by looking at number one, the messaging, and number two, the conversion elements that are in place on the website. So you'll see the website is a great opportunity to use that messaging that we just crafted. Now we have to make it easy for your potential customer to become a caller, to then become a customer, right? So if we look here at this example, we'll see multiple calls to action that appear seamless or maybe even invisible to the non website builder, right? So let's point out a few. For one, I don't even have an arrow pointing to it because it's so obvious, but the click to call, at the top of the page, super important. In the middle, we've got large and clear calls to action. So we've got the click to call again at the top of the page. We've got schedule a service. So in 2024 and beyond, we're seeing more and more folks that don't want to talk to someone on the phone. They want to schedule and do it all online without talking to anyone. And we can fight against that, or we can lean into it and say, hey, this is reality, and we want to be able to work with as many people as possible. So we're going to make it easy. So having a schedule service button is really key. uh, we see just below that the customer reviews. So pointing to Google reviews and giving a trust indicator, also speaking to some of those fears that your potential customers may have of being ripped off or being taken advantage of. If you've worked hard to achieve a 4.5, 4.6, 4.9 rating, that I find is one of the biggest conversion factors for an HVAC company is presenting that and showing social proof. We see one very clear one-click navigation at the top. We see social proof as well up here in terms of social media icons. And again, just to speak to the messaging, flat rate pricing with no hidden fees. We're speaking to the fears, and then we're making it easy for them to take action and work with us. So I want you to take a chance today to really look at your website and with a critical eye and say, would I, being a potential customer, does this sell me to want to pick up the phone and call, or does it not? And really just understanding where you're at with that, it makes a big difference. And if this is an area where if it's something that you would like some help looking at this, this is where you'll want to take advantage of that link that I shared before, and I can share it again. Schedule a time with us, and I'll happily look at your specific website, uh, you know, and give you a full audit of it. So that's something I would encourage you to take advantage of, because ultimately that is your marketing hub. So can conversion optimization really have an impact? Well, let's break that down, right? So what I always say is we want to convert as many website visitors to callers as possible. So if your website as is right now is able to convert, let's say, 2 out of every 100 visitors into a caller, and you could make some changes to your website, you could, add more obvious calls to actions and add some social proof, and boy, if you could just take that to 5 out of 100, well, you've more than doubled the effectiveness of all of your marketing, your billboards, your digital, your print, traditional, everything. Anytime someone lands on your website, if it converts better, you're going to have the phone ringing more often, is what it ultimately comes down to. And let's just take a look here at an example of that. So we're looking right here only at the results organically from a website. So not even looking at paid results, but this particular client with an investment of $1,150, to have these calls to actions and have their website set up in a way to convert, and also have it showing up in Google search and being found. This particular HVAC company is seeing 461 leads in a month come through the website. And if you break that down, $2.49 a lead. I mean, oh my gosh, I don't know if there's anyone on the call that doesn't make sense for, especially in today's day and age. But it really can work. Increasing your conversion on your website can have a real powerful ripple effect and increasing the effectiveness of your marketing. So it really is important. For the sake of time, we're not going to go all the way through this in detail. Basically, these are just some pointers that you want to look at in terms of, does your website convert? So if you hang with me till the end, we're actually going to share with you a checklist that you can download, and you can actually go through your website and check the box, literally, like, does our website have this or does it not? And you'll know where you stand. Additionally, feel free to schedule a strategy session with me, and we'll look at your website free of charge. So, but it's really important to get your arms around this. Okay, good deal. So we talked about the website. We've talked about our avatar, our ideal customer. We've talked about our messaging, talked about our website. Now let's talk about one of the biggest issues that I see facing the home services industry, and that's unconverted leads. So I talk to a lot of HVAC companies, and oftentimes I hear that there's a lead problem, right? Where we need more leads, team's not busy enough. And sometimes that's the case. Oftentimes that's the case. But what's also an issue is unconverted leads. So we're seeing that 50 to 60% of inbound leads are in fact leaving unconverted, meaning that if 10 calls come through for qualified prospective customers, 5 to 6 of those are not going to do business with you, right? Add to that, 90% of web forms fail to convert. So that's a massive problem, and there's a lot of opportunity. So here's really, in my mind, the reason why that happens. As the world continues to change and our attention spans, shorten every single day, we're finding that leads that are not followed up within 15 minutes go cold. The average customer must be followed up with 5 to 7 times before booking. And today's consumers prefer to interact via text message versus phone call or email. So really seeing text message come into play here. So let's talk about the solution. So really the solution here is to leverage automation. So I want you to be doing as much follow-up as possible in terms of, having your CSRs touching these leads and doing follow-up. But where you can automate this, it can be really powerful, right? So there's systems that we put in place, and there's many out there, but it's important to have a system that can actually automatically follow up within the first 2 minutes with any missed call, any email that comes through, any form submission that comes through, any text message that comes through, we want to make sure that every single lead is being contacted within minutes of reaching out to us as the business. And we can do that through automation. When we want to automate the follow-up so that every prospect is touched at least 5 times and able to engage via two-way text. So as I kind of alluded to before, it's really simple math. So we're going to look at 2 different scenarios, both with 100 inbound leads. So let's look at two different scenarios. So the first one would be more of that traditional no follow-up situation. So leads are calling in, form submissions are coming in, and maybe the phone's answered, maybe it's not, but either way, that lead doesn't get called back. They don't get texted back. There's no follow-up, right? So let's say 30% of those leads book, and it'd be the 30% that book right there on the first call. So if your average ticket conservatively is $650, you're looking at $19,500 in revenue from those 100 leads at the top. Now compare that to a different situation where there is automated follow-up. So we take that same 100 leads and we have a system in place that automatically sends text message follow-ups, automatically sends texts when there's a missed call to say, hey, sorry, we missed you. What can we help you with? When a form is submitted, when a chat comes through the website, there's follow-up and there's constant follow-up. And instead of converting 30%, we're able to convert 70%. All of a sudden, out of that same 100 leads, you're now generating over $45,000 in top line revenue. So same lead count, we're just getting more money. So it's really a pretty obvious proposition. Automation makes a lot of sense in terms of follow-up. And by doing this, you're able to make every lead that you generate more valuable. So as we see average cost per lead continuing to rise through Google Ads, for example, when you can confidently say, hey, we convert 50, 60, 70, 80% of these leads, oh my gosh, it makes it a lot easier to pay the most, budget highly for acquiring customers, knowing that you're going to convert them. So it really does make every single one of your leads more valuable. So let's get this implemented for your business. If this is something that's new, a new idea for you, I mean, it is a game changer for businesses that have never done any kind of follow-up. So I want you to take a moment and, I think we maybe have this slide out of order. I want you to take a moment and just write down for a second, make a note that you're going to map out what is your current follow-up process. And I think a lot of you will be surprised that it may be nothing. It may be a note that's written down by CSR, or it may be, it may not be much. That's typically what we find. And I think you'll, through that exercise, come to see that by automating your follow-up process, you can go from 0 follow-up to world-class follow-up in no time at all, just leveraging software. So again, if you have questions about this, this is where I encourage you to schedule time with me via that link in the chat, reach out to my team or me, because this is a really powerful tool and I want all of you to take advantage of it. Let's see, how are we doing on time? I think we're doing okay. We're just going to delve into this section here on knowing and tracking your KPIs. So this is something not worth skipping over. When it relates to goal setting, when it relates to planning, for the next year, the next quarter, the next month, you can only make decisions as effectively as you are tracking everything that you're doing in terms of your marketing, your sales, your job flow, etc. So it's really important to know and track your key performance indicators. So I'll show you an example. So I am a believer in the adage, what measures improved. So I think just by the simple act of measuring the KPIs that you care about, you will see an improvement. And so here's an example of the kind of clarity that you can get. So we're looking here at 1 month's time. We're looking at what was our total investment for the month in marketing. So in this case, with our client, $3,758.96 spent in marketing. And this is a combination of our HVAC marketers' management fees and ad spend combined together. So put it all in one bucket, because that's at the end of the day, the money that's going out the door for your marketing. Now, what came in for that? 212 leads came in through the door. That comes out to an average cost per lead of $17.74. And we can see here, where did all these leads come from? 31 came from ads. 149 came from the Google business profile, through SEO, and then 32 came directly from the website. So knowing how much we're spending, how much we're getting from it, and precisely where we're getting those leads is really key. So far, we've worked together to get a clear goal and target for 2024. You made a copy of the tracking worksheet. You plugged in your numbers. What's your top line revenue goal? What's your average ticket? Backed into kind of how much do you need to be making per month and per job, and how many jobs do you need? 2, we've got clarity around market, message, and media that we're going to implement in our marketing for 2024. 3, we've made sure our website is optimized for conversion. We've taken a screenshot or a picture of hopefully of some of that good information I had on the screen, or we plan to download the checklist at the end of the session. And then 4, we've set up a simple KPI tracking dashboard. So hopefully you've written down, hey, I really need to get an idea of how many leads I'm getting, how many, what's my investment, where are those leads coming from, and have a really clear idea on where, how all that is tracking. So I want to leave you, we're getting close to the end. I just want to leave you with a few of the key trends that we're seeing for 2024. Some of these are not going to be too surprising, right? So number 1, economic headwinds. I don't think anyone really knows where we're heading, economically right now, but we're seeing a lot of buyer hesitancy from customers, and, high interest rates. Hopefully that's maybe changing, but, it's uncertainty, to say the least, in terms of the economy. And it's important to know how that's going to impact not only our customers, but how we sell to them, what services we offer, how we can, accommodate that for them. Excuse me. We're seeing increased advertising costs. So cost per click on the Google Ads side, we're seeing higher average lead costs on local service ads. Those for-profit companies, Facebook, Google, those costs continue to rise. Excuse me. Let's see here. We're seeing the need to focus on lead management. And this was really my point around follow-up automation, and trying to shift our thinking from just we have a lead flow problem to we want to still increase our leads, but we need to do more with the leads that we already have coming inbound and really follow up with them at a high level. That's really going to be important to be successful this year. And then lastly, must have an all-in perspective. So not just, building the best website you can and then calling it a day. Not just investing in SEO and getting your website to rank. Not just running local service ads and seeing what comes in every month. It's actually having an all-in perspective and realizing that the quality of your website is going to impact your Google Ads performance, and you know, showing up on a Google search for paid results, organic results through SEO, in the map, like having an all-in perspective and just having really an omnipresence, just doing it well in all channels is really what's going to set you apart in 2024 when it comes to outsmarting your competition and really having a compelling uh, marketing strategy and message to ultimately sell more customers, grow your customer list, and get more lifetime value out of them. So this is, in summary, really the goal here is to build your 2024 marketing plan. So in the spirit of being all in, right? This is the way that we view here at HVAC Marketers effective marketing campaigns for HVAC, plumbing, electrical, home services companies, right? So it begins with having that conversion focused website, having all those elements that we discussed in place. Two, crushing it on the SEO side and organically ranking, really owning your spot on the Google search results so that you're not having to pay, tens of thousands of dollars every single month for Google ads if you don't have to. 3 and 4, 2 different Google ads plays, traditional PPC, pay per click, local service ads at 4, repeat and referral. So having social media in place to encourage your existing customers to become recurring customers and also refer you out. Customer database. So taking advantage of the customers that have bought from you in the past and staying in front of them with SMS and email, but particularly SMS, sending out text message offers that are seasonal and enticing. And then lastly, review management. So having a strategy in place to consistently get more 5-star Google reviews and continue to put to bed any consumer's fear of, this isn't a good company or I'm going to get taken advantage of. Eventually you can put those to bed when you have, 3,000 reviews and you're a 4.9 rating, right? So I want you to view all of this as going all in, right? And that all of these facets, these 7 different channels, march together in an army to really become effective and allow you to maximize your lead flow online. So I just want to quickly share some results from clients that we've done this for and really helped them go all in and really up their marketing game and really dominate in their service areas. So what we did, in this particular case, built a website that's set up to convert, proactively manage, optimize SEO, so on and so forth. We did everything that I just discussed there on the previous page, really helped them go all in on their marketing, have a strategic paid ads plan, and really measure their spend and what they're getting for it. And what they were able to see, this is a company in Tampa, Florida, full service HVAC company. We'll look here just at 1 month's time. Through a combination of all these marketing efforts, they saw year over year 100 and 200% increases respectively. It's unbelievable in terms of their ability to generate new leads, right? So they're paying on average just less than $30 per lead in Tampa, Florida, highly competitive market, generating 169 brand new leads every single month. Just an exceptional result there. And again, this is by having an all-in focus and not just saying, oh, I'm going to throw some dollars at Google ads, or oh, I'm going to make some changes to my website. It's having all of those channels, all 7 of those really pointed towards the same ultimate goal, the goal that we're crafting today in this session. So we'll look at a couple more. Here's another client in South Carolina, full service HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. We'll do another 1 month snapshot. So in $3,750 in investment between our management fee and their ad spend, they're generating 212 brand new leads a month at $17.74 per lead. And they're able to predictably add this many new customers and into their contact list every single month. So they're growing the size of that customer list. And then on the back end through social media and text message marketing are able to increase the lifetime value of those customers and are just saw an exceptional fall this year, actually, when so many really saw a pullback. These guys are really proud of them. Saw an exceptional fall and did really well. Several other examples, but at the end of the day, this stuff works. Going all in on your marketing, but doing it aligned towards a specific, 2024 goal. It works. The system works. You just have to craft that plan, stick to it, have a team to implement it, or be diligent about implementing it yourself. It can be done. But the goal through all this is to give you some encouragement to show just the power of putting pen to paper, creating a goal, sticking to it. Really, you can see incredible results just like our clients did there. And we're so happy for them. So as promised, here is the checklist that you can use in order to see where you're at, right? So where's my website at? Where am I at with, my maps present, my SEO, that you can go through and you can download this checklist and you can see where you're at. Additionally, as I mentioned, feel free to schedule time with me directly. You can do that via, here's the link here. You can do that via, bear with me. This link here should be the right link. That will allow you to schedule what we call a marketing strategy session. And it's basically the next step beyond the checklist. So the checklist is you going through and evaluating, okay, how's my website? How's my SEO? How are my ads performing? And looking at all that. The free marketing strategy session that we offer is us actually doing that work for you, right? So we're taking a look at everything you have going on and we're giving you a score based on what we're seeing and how you're performing and saying, hey, here's what you're doing well, and here's what you can improve upon for 2024 to help you achieve your goals. So I would really encourage you to take advantage of that free marketing strategy session. And I'd be really happy to discuss with you. So in closing, we covered a lot. We set goals for 2024 and we know how many leads we need to hit those targets. We talked about the 3 fundamentals of marketing success. We talked about how to optimize your website for conversion. We talked about the big picture of online marketing and how all those channels need to work together and really go all in. We discussed some of the latest trends for 2024 that are upon us already. It's hard to believe we're almost in January. And then developed a custom action plan based on where you are at now and what you need to do. So guys, that is it for today. Here is my personal contact information. If there's anything I can do to help you have an exceptional 2024 and dominate in your service area, dominate in your business, I'm happy to do it, right? So feel free to reach out, send me a text, send me an email. Would love to meet you and help you in any way I can. So until then, be blessed and hope to see you on next month's webinar. Take care, everyone.